matter, political or social. You disagree or don't disagree. If you don't mend your account on this earth, you and I are in trouble on the day of judgment. So our unity is based on our strength, and if we're disunited, we are weak. And the main cause of your disunity is ignorance, and I hope and I pray we'll improve our communities by learning more and more and more, and opening our thinking and our minds and horizon to understand that there could be a diversity within opinions that I follow. Somebody else may hold an opinion that is contrary and different to mine, but that's pretty fine. I'm quite happy to live with it. At the time of Rasulullah, the good thing was he was alive, right? So companions, when they disagreed, they came to him and he solved them immediately. But we don't have Rasulullah alive with us. We have his traditions. We have to interpret those traditions using our biased minds, our own stories, our own brain. Sometimes we're unfair, we're human beings. So don't always think it's your way or the highway. If you think that way, you will never unite. So regardless of where you come from, regardless of who you are, what status you hold, please remember we're all children of Adam. Thank you very much. Obviously, we will open up the floor for you to ask questions, comments, and make a discussion if you wish. I'm quite happy to do more of that. So let's see if you have got any questions or any points you want to raise, or any challenges that you face in what you want to achieve in this community. Any questions?
You answered almost everything.
Go ahead, you had the question.
Yeah, inshallah. The idea of this event was to basically get that information that you've got across today. And how do we move forward now? How do we implement some of what you said? And we can do that in our personal lives, but how, as perhaps a community, as a masjid perhaps, we have elders and youngsters here, how can we all get together and do this?
We human beings carry a big ego inside us. That ego sometimes overtakes some of the good characteristics and traits that we hold. Your honor, my prestige, my opinion, I'm going to have to sacrifice. That's not easy. It's not easy. And this is the problem. Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. And the servants of the most compassionate, Ar-Rahman, Allah Azza wa Jal, الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا, they walk on the face of this earth with humility. Not arrogance, but humility. And if people of ignorance come to argue with them, they say salam and walk away. How do we establish that? 2 Fridays ago, Jum'ah, after Jum'ah, I had given a lecture about a topic that was rather controversial. And I deliberately chose that topic so that people will have a discussion and a debate. But at the beginning of my sermon, I said to everybody, you may disagree with me. That's okay. If I hurt you, please forgive me. But I'm saying what I believe to be correct. And I'm quite happy to listen to what you believe to be correct. And we can happily agree to disagree or come to a conclusion or a consensus at the end. But no, that was not going to be the case after Jum'ah. I was surrounded by a group of brothers, categorically told that I'm wrong and I must accept it. There was no possibility for them to even listen that there could be some possible point that I'm making. No, not interested. Guess what happened after the Jum'ah? I received a threatening email on Monday. A long email from some name that I don't even know. Unless you toe the line, unless you change, unless you conform, you better be careful, blah, blah, blah. A threatening email. So I wrote back to the brother or sister, whatever the person is. Please, can you please identify who you are first? If I've hurt you, I can do the most human thing, and that is apologize to you. And then I can have a discussion with you. Can you please tell me what is it that I've said that has hurt you and incensed you so much? Can you please? I made a long list. It's been 10 days, no response. And that person who sent the email, he sent the same email to 100 people, saying this is a public, open letter to Brother Ajmal Masroor. Never gave me a chance to give me a chance to respond to some of the allegations or points of concern that he had. Isn't it part of the Sunnah that if you disagree with your brother, you take him aside privately and tell him? You give him a chance to reply. If he doesn't heed then you take the next step. No, the first step as far as this person is concerned, to write an open public email to everybody. It's not a problem. I don't have a problem with that. Go ahead. But the least you should do is have the audacity to respond. Or come and engage in discuss and debate, but no. You may disagree, but understand, unless we swallow our pride and accept the possibility that there could be two opinions on the same issue, we will never move forward. It can never be true that one opinion is right. Right now, as I talk to you, I have an appointment tomorrow to see a brother and a sister, husband and a wife, who are on the verge of divorce on the basis of disagreements on fiqh. Both of them are very knowledgeable people, but they cannot agree to disagree, and they are saying both of them are right, and therefore, unless one of them changes their mind, they're divorcing. SubhanAllah, how is it possible? So I'm actually traveling from London for 4 hours to another city for another event, after which I'm going to go and see them in their family house to try and resolve their fiqhi conflict between husband and wife. And I know where the conflict is coming from because the emails I've been receiving indicates where the fault and the problem lies. And that is, I am right and you are wrong. The humility that has gone from the heart. I am right and you're wrong can never be a starting point of negotiation. Starting point of negotiation is, there is a possibility that I could also be wrong. Then somebody will listen. So for you to do something together, you need to create an environment where people feel safe to express their views and opinions freely without being judged, without prejudice. And we need to create an environment where people are willing to give up and swallow their pride and be humble enough to accept the validity of alternative views. I'll give you an example. Allah says in the Quran, there's a very interesting verse which talks about divorce. He says in that, there should be a woman for a divorce should wait for 3 quru. For those of you who know the word quru, which means menstrual cycle. 3 quru. Have the scholars ever agreed on what it means? No, because they can't. Menstrual cycle for some ladies is 20 days. For some ladies, it's 40 days. And I also know of cases where it's 60 days. And it's nothing abnormal. Doctors will tell you, it's nothing abnormal. So, for a sister to wait for a divorce, if she literally takes the meaning of 3 quru, for one it could be 60 days. And the one who has to wait for 360 days quru, 180 days. Can the scholars impose one number? They can't. Because Allah, out of His infinite wisdom, has left it open because He knows His servants will have different cycles. SubhanAllah. So, do not go around imposing one view only. Because one view necessarily may not be correct. You don't have wahi coming to you. It's interpretation of what you think is correct. Oh brother, all the scholars of all times agreed on this issue. Yes, but those scholars are not alive today. They are the scholars of the past. We respect them. But how are they going to judge between us now? We can take guidance from them, but now, the context in which I am, my environment, my situation, they don't know. I have to refer to a scholar of my time, but my scholar cannot give me one answer. So, I'm saying to you, first and foremost, create a space where tolerance, acceptance of variety of views is safe. Number 2, accept the possibility that there are other people who know more than you. I've read one hadith, Rasulullah said, and therefore it must be. Really? Rasulullah said, be different to the Jews. They pray without their shoes on. You should pray with your shoes. I didn't see any of you praying with your shoes today. There's a hadith of Rasulullah which says, be different to the Jews. They pray without shoes. You should put your shoes on to be different to them. I don't see any of you wearing shoes. Yes, what's gone wrong? What's gone wrong is, you've suddenly decided, you know what, nice carpet, let's keep it clean. So you become practical. So you're prepared to give up the sunnah for practical purposes, and yet other circumstances, you're prepared to literally implement sunnah when it does suit you and when it doesn't suit you. But who gives you that right? The scholars have the right to interpret it, of course, because they've got the knowledge. So the scholars say, yes, of course, practical, clean carpet, pray without the shoes on, it's fine. We don't have to argue about it because it's not a major issues of disagreement. And in Islam, I don't know whether you know, the disagreement element is very small. We agree on most things. Anyone disagrees on 5 prayers? No. Anyone disagrees on Dhuhr being the essential Dhuhr prayer for Sunnah before and Sunnah after? People don't disagree with them. What we disagree on are finer details. When does Dhuhr begin and when does it end? Does Asr begin when the shadow becomes double the size, or does it begin when the shadow is 1 length of the size? Well, really speaking, reality is, and I'll tell you why I say this. Reality is you can determine it very well by going to the observatory and talking to the experts. They can tell you exactly when the time changes. So you can do both. You can take a pencil and wait for the sun to come out outside in British weather and wait for it to double its length so that you can determine the prayer time, or you can calculate. This is why you've got the prayer timetable over there. I've never seen anybody going outside with a pencil or a stick to calculate double the length until Asr. Nobody does that. So if you're willing to use the advanced technology around today and modern science today to calculate your prayer, why fight over moon sighting? And forgive me again, this is not an attack on anybody in person. The Pakistanis and Bangladeshis don't use lunar calendar normally, do they? They use Gregorian calendar. January, February is their normal calendar. Arabs use lunar calendar every day. It's their normal calendar. And yet when it comes to Ramadan, beginning and ending, Bangladeshis and Pakistanis are at the forefront of claiming it's our right to tell you when the moon would be sighted and when it won't be sighted. But hang on, you don't use the calendar normally. Suddenly you want to use it. Why not leave it to those people who use it every day, number one? Number two, why not refer to the experts? There are people who can tell you exactly which second the moon would be visible in the horizon for you to see. Combine the two. Know when it's out and go and look. If the scientists say moon is going to be out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday, it's no point you going and looking for the moon on a Friday at 4 o'clock. Because you won't see, even if you cry until cows come home. The moon is not out. So combine the two. Refer to the expert. Create an environment where you know there are people who know more than you. Number 3, and this one I say to you, my brothers and sisters, with greatest respect to all of you. I don't know you personally, so there is no personality here. It's my own experience which I would share. For you to be able to unite together, you must understand what it is that you want to unite for. Why? What for? There is this mosque. What do you want to do with this mosque? What's the purpose of the mosque? What is it serving? Who is it serving? If you don't agree on it, you cannot unite. It's not going to be possible. And the least qualified people suddenly become the chairman and secretary of the mosques in many places. I'm not saying it's the case here. I'm pretty certain you have got the most qualified people to lead. But the question is, ask yourself, are you qualified? Really qualified to be the chairman? In Luton the other day, they were having a fist fight over who should be the chairman. In the masjid, they were fighting over who should be the chairman. What kind of nonsense is that? Those who fight, they're the least qualified of all people and they should be bad for the mosque. But they will fight and they want to become the chairman. It's become a status symbol. Mosque is not like that. Mosque is a house of Allah. The community that you're serving is an amana on your shoulder. Allah will ask you a question on the Day of Judgment about being responsible and custodian of a mosque. Are you delivering your job well? So understand, agree to the common vision of the mosque. What is it that you want to achieve? 4, develop work plan that will bring you together rather than bring you in position. The mosques that are least active are the ones which has got more problems. When mosque becomes active, provides activities for young people, provide activities for people around, there are lots of things going on, that's the mosque with least problems. When the mosque is shut and it says big massive sign, nothing else is allowed in this mosque except prayer,